Chapter 13: The Great Depression and the WPA Post Office Murals, 1930s. Before we dive into today's story, make sure you're subscribed because trust me, you won't want to miss the twist I have coming next week. The Roaring Twenties ended not with a whisper, but with a crash. The stock market tumbled, the factories fell silent, and a gray dust settled over the American landscape, both literally in the dust bowl of the plains and metaphorically in the hearts of the people. The 1930s was a decade of waiting. Men waited in bread lines, families waited for rain, workers waited for the whistle that would call them back to the assembly line. But amidst this paralysis, one institution kept moving. One organization remained a constant, rhythmic presence in the life of the nation: the post office. Chapter 13 of our history is the story of how the United States government decided to fight despair with bricks, mortar, and paint. It is the story of a massive building boom that placed a marble sanctuary in the center of nearly every town. And it is the story of the New Deal art, the murals that turned these lobbies into the art galleries of the common man. To understand the impact of these buildings, we must first walk down the street of an American town in 1932. The mood is somber. The shop windows are dusty. The bank has closed its doors. The wooden sidewalks are worn. The infrastructure of the country feels tired and neglected. But then, in 1934 and 1935, the trucks arrive. President Franklin D. Roosevelt and his administration understood a fundamental psychological truth. People needed to see their government working. They needed to see permanence. So they launched a construction program on a scale never seen before. The Treasury Department authorized the construction of over 1,100 new post offices. These were not slapdash temporary structures. They were temples of democracy. Let us stand in front of one of these new post offices. It is 1936. The building is made of red brick or white limestone. It is designed in a style that architects call starved classicism or PWA moderne. It echoes the grandeur of ancient Greece or Rome, but stripped of the fancy ornaments. It is clean, strong, and square. It looks like it will stand for 1,000 years. To the citizen of the Depression, this building was a reassurance. It said, the banks may fail, the crops may die, but the United States government is here. It is solid. It has money. It is not going anywhere. You walk up the granite steps. You push open the heavy bronze doors. Inside, the sensory experience changes. The air is cool and smells of lemon polish and ink. The floor is terrazzo, a composite of marble chips set in concrete, polished to a glass-like shine. Your footsteps echo, click-clack, click-clack. The wainscoting on the walls is marble. The tables for writing checks are solid oak with heavy glass tops. The teller windows are brass grills, shining under the Art Deco pendant lights. It feels wealthy. It feels dignified. For a moment, you are not a struggling farmer or an unemployed clerk. You are a citizen standing in a hall of state. But the most striking feature is not the marble. It is the color above your head. This brings us to the section of fine arts. Often confused with the WPA, the section was a specific program within the Treasury Department. Its motto was simple but revolutionary: art for the millions. The director, Edward Bruce, believed that art should not be locked away in the museums of New York or Paris. It should be part of daily life. It should be where the people are, and everyone went to the post office. So the government held competitions. They invited artists, many of whom were starving in cold lofts in the city, to submit sketches for murals to adorn these new lobbies. The guidelines were strict. The art could not be abstract, no confusing cubes or splashes of paint. It had to be the American scene. It had to be realistic. It had to be legible. And it had to be optimistic. The artists were told to paint the history of the town or the industry of the region. They were told to paint the dignity of labor. Let us imagine the process of a mural coming to life. The year is 1938. An artist named Thomas from Chicago has won a commission for a small town in Iowa. The prize is $700, a fortune in those days, enough to live on for a year. Thomas travels to the town. He is an outsider. He wears a beret and smokes cigarettes. The locals are skeptical. They watch him. He spends days walking the fields. He sketches the shape of the barns. He sketches the way the farmers hold their scythes. He visits the local historical society to learn about the founding of the town. He goes back to his studio in the city. He stretches a massive canvas, sometimes 12 feet long and 4 feet high. He begins to paint. The style of the Works Progress Administration is distinct. It is robust. The figures are rounded and muscular. The colors are earthy, ochre, burnt sienna, forest green, and sky blue. Thomas paints a harvest scene. He paints men with thick forearms swinging hammers. He paints women with strong backs gathering wheat. He paints a male stagecoach racing across the prairie. He does not paint the reality of 1938. He paints the ideal. He paints the memory of prosperity and the promise that it will return. When the canvas is finished, he rolls it up. He travels back to Iowa. The installation is an event. Scaffolding is erected in the lobby, right over the postmaster's door. The smell of strong glue fills the room. Thomas unrolls the canvas and pastes it to the plaster wall. This method is called marouflage. It means the painting becomes part of the wall. When the scaffolding comes down, the town walks in. They look up. For many of these people, this is the first real oil painting they have ever seen. There were no art museums in rural Iowa. The reaction is a mixture of pride and criticism. The local farmers are the harshest critics. "That horse is too short," one says. "That plow was from 50 years ago," says another. "Why did he paint the pigs that color?" But despite the grumbling, there is a deep sense of ownership. "This is us," the mural says. "We are worthy of art. Our labor is beautiful." The subjects of these murals form a kaleidoscope of American identity. In the coastal towns of Maine, they painted fishermen hauling in nets, the sea foaming white against the rocks. In the mining towns of Pennsylvania, they painted men with headlamps descending into the coal face, the black diamonds glistening. In the South, they painted fields of cotton and tobacco, though, reflecting the prejudices of the time, the depiction of race was often stylized or marginalized, a complexity we grapple with today. In the West, they painted cowboys, Native Americans, and the vast open sky. There was a recurring character in many of these murals, the mail carrier. He was depicted as a hero. You see him on horseback, fording a swollen river. You see him in a stagecoach, fighting off bandits. You see him in a train, sorting letters by the light of a lantern. The mural connected the modern resident, standing in line to buy a stamp, with the pioneer past. It suggested that the act of sending a letter was part of a grand, heroic tradition. Let us focus on the atmosphere of the lobby on a winter afternoon in 1939. It is snowing outside. The light in the lobby is dim and warm. The radiator is hissing softly in the corner, a sound of comfort. A woman enters. She stamps the snow from her boots. She is wearing a worn coat. She is tired. She walks to the window to buy a 3-cent stamp. While she waits, she looks up. Above the door is a mural of the picnic on the river. It depicts a summer day. The trees are lush and green. The water is blue. Families are laughing, eating watermelon, playing the fiddle. For a moment, the gray weight of the depression lifts. The painting is a window into summer. It is a window into hope. It reminds her that winter does not last forever. This was the subtle magic of the New Deal art. It didn't fix the economy. The war would eventually do that. But it fixed the spirit. It provided a psychological wage to a battered nation. The artists, too, were saved by this work. Famous names like Jackson Pollock, Mark Rothko, and Willem de Kooning got their start on government relief projects. Before they became abstract expressionists, they were painting maps and post office walls, learning the discipline of the brush. But there is a melancholy side to this story. As the 1930s turned into 1940s, the mood shifted. War was coming. The focus of the nation moved from recovery to survival. The construction of post offices slowed down. The section of fine arts was slowly defunded. The artists put down their brushes and picked up rifles, or went to work designing camouflage. The mural era was a brief golden window, a unique moment when the U.S. government acted as the greatest patron of the arts since the Renaissance popes. And then the modern world arrived. In the 1950s and 60s, architectural tastes changed. The sturdy brick post offices were seen as old-fashioned. Some were demolished to make way for glass and steel boxes. Worse, some of the murals were destroyed. They were painted over by zealous postmasters who wanted a clean white wall. They were damaged by roof leaks. They were hidden behind drop ceilings. But many survived. Today, there is a movement to rediscover these lost treasures. Conservationists are peeling back layers of beige paint to reveal the vibrant scenes of 1930s America underneath. If you walk into an older post office today, perhaps in a small town in Arkansas or a neighborhood station in Chicago, look up. Ignore the fluorescent lights. Ignore the modern posters for priority mail. Look at the wall above the postmaster's door. You might see a faint, ghostly image, a group of farmers threshing wheat, a steam train chugging through a valley, a group of settlers building a log cabin. The colors may be faded, but the energy is still there. These murals are time capsules. They are the dreams of the Great Depression preserved in oil and tempera. They are the evidence that even in the darkest times, we felt the need to make things beautiful. Let us end this chapter with a moment of quiet reflection in one of these lobbies. Imagine you are there now. The post office is empty. It's closing time. The clerk has pulled down the grill. The lobby is silent, except for the hum of the old clock on the wall. The terrazzo floor shines under the dim security lights. You look up at the mural. It depicts a letter from home. A family is gathered on a porch, reading a letter. The sunlight in the painting is eternal. The smiles are frozen in time. You realize that you are standing inside a work of art. The building itself is a letter sent from the past to the future. It says, "We were here. We struggled, but we built this for you." The heavy bronze door clicks shut behind you as you step out into the evening, leaving the painted harvest to watch over the silence of the night.